Do you ever feel stuck and find yourself wondering, why is it so hard to get ahead? How do I make time for things I actually want to do when it feels like I'm constantly struggling to keep up? Is it even possible to achieve our dreams? And if it is, where do we start? You've probably heard of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It did so well that President Clinton asked the author to help him apply the book's ideas to his presidency. In it, Stephen Covey explains what it means to be effective and how seeing things differently can lead us to personal and interpersonal success. First, we'll talk about Covey's method and why it's different from other self-help books. Then, we'll explore the 3 habits he believes build personal effectiveness. We'll follow it up with the next 3 habits, which are about interpersonal effectiveness, and we'll top it off with Covey's final habit, which keeps us going strong. For more like this, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button. If you find it helpful, click the like button and leave us a comment. The 7 habits aren't about looking successful or faking it till you make it. To become truly effective, we have to go deeper than that. But what does Covey mean when he talks about being effective? Well, an effective person is one who focuses on getting the most important things done, raising the quality of their outcomes. To do that, we have to change the way we think about our problems. That's why Covey tells us to adjust our perspective, the route that leads to our behaviors and outcomes. Covey explains that when you're not open to changing your perspectives, you become dependent on them. You're stuck thinking the same way forever, leading you to feel and behave the same way forever. Adjusting your perspective is the first step to becoming more effective, because it motivates you to behave differently. For example, if I'm a supervisor, my problem is finding the most effective way to lead my employees. How I approach that depends on my perspective. If I think that people are generally selfish, that affects the way I lead. Because I wouldn't trust my employees, I'd probably micromanage them. But that's not effective. My perspective drags my attention in the wrong direction. That rhymes. That's fun to say. I feel like I should turn that into a song somehow. I don't know how. But what if I approach leading my team with the perspective that everyone wants to do a good job? With that mindset, I'm not motivated to micromanage. Instead, I want to support them in finding their own solutions and let them focus on their jobs. As a result, my team becomes independent. And I can spend my time doing what's actually important, like growing my client base and finding ways to improve my business. It's a more effective mindset because it gets much better results. Not only for me, but for my employees. Adjusting your mindset like that allows you to become independent, to take back your time and energy and stop wasting it trying to control others. Eventually, Covey says we want to take that a step further to become interdependent, but we'll talk about that later. First, let's look at building personal effectiveness. The following 3 habits help you stay focused on being effective. They help you start moving and keep moving in the right direction. This allows you to create the life you want to live. The first habit is all about being proactive. It's a common lesson, but an important one. If you want things to change, you can't just wait around for something to happen. If you do, you'll never be independent and you'll never be in control. That sounds obvious, and you're probably already doing it on some level. But the key, Covey says, is to notice when a problem can be solved and when it can't. Sometimes we get so stuck on an unsolvable problem that we never get moving. If you really can't solve something, don't waste your time and energy worrying about it. Just accept it and move on. Covey makes another big point here. How you feel isn't a result of your circumstances. It's a result of your perspective. You can be in traffic without feeling stressed. You can be poor without being unhappy. And you can say, what are my options? Instead of, there's nothing I can do. A few months ago, I was commuting an hour each way to my job. At first, the commute was really frustrating. I kept framing the drive as a waste of my time, and that would really stress me out. This put me in a bad mood every time I had to drive somewhere. Over time though, I decided to shift my perspective to something more positive. I framed it as a time for learning. I would listen to language learning podcasts or NPR's news reports. This helped me feel like I was claiming my time back. I felt the stress leave my body each time I reminded myself to shift my perspective. So, be proactive. Focus on what you can do and do it. Don't just sit around and let things happen to you. Even if things look bad, you're still in control. Understanding that goes a long way towards making us more effective. And that brings us to the second habit. Begin with the end in mind. Take the time to look ahead, way ahead, and determine who you want to be and who you want to become. This mental picture is really important. It's what keeps you moving in the right direction. When you don't have a goal, you give up a lot of control. Your circumstances and the people around you will decide what happens to you. You'll wake up one day and realize you're living a life that's totally wrong for you. It happens so often, we even have a name for it. We call it a midlife crisis. Don't let that happen to you. Take back your choices and take back your time. Make them effective by giving yourself a long-term goal. Personally, I want to become a professor at a university one day. I want to live in a city, maybe in Europe, with my partner and my children. And a dog, I forgot to mention that. A dog too, that needs to be in there. Maybe 2 or 7. Having these goals in mind has made me more intentional about the things I plan to study and the people I'm hanging out with. It helps me decide what's worth my time and energy and what isn't. And I know that the person I end up with needs to be compatible with my vision. We've talked about how to take control and focus on where we want to go. Now the question is, what's the best way to spend our time and energy? Covey's answer? Learn to prioritize. Figure out what most effectively moves you toward your goal and put those things first. According to him, every task falls into one of 4 categories. A task can be urgent or not, and it could be important or not. For example, some things aren't urgent or important. Stuff like playing games or scrolling through Twitter. I feel like I'm getting called out right now as I'm saying this. Doing those things doesn't move us forward, so prioritizing them doesn't make us effective. I think The Sims really helps me prioritize things in my life, but whatever. Similarly, things that are urgent but not important can be avoided too. Your phone wants your attention now, but the things it's yelling at you about almost never matter. Picking it up every time you get a notification doesn't make you better at getting things done. On the other hand, things that are important and urgent need to be addressed right away. They're not optional. You don't just hear a fire alarm and go, maybe later. But if you spend all of your time in this category, you're constantly reacting instead of planning ahead. You don't get to move forward because, well, you can't. And that's why this next category is so important. See, ideally, you would spend as much time as possible on things that are important, but not urgent. This is where you can really get ahead of the game. It's where Covey puts things like exercise, learning, and planning. Doing this stuff gets you ahead because it makes you grow, it keeps you healthy, and it creates opportunities. Spending time in this category prevents you from ending up in a crisis loop. And that helps you take control of your life. You go to the doctor before you end up in an ambulance. You give your partner attention before they feel neglected. And you work on your future before you start feeling like it's too late. The more you incorporate the first 3 habits into your lifestyle, the less dependent you'll be on your circumstances. You'll have more control and you'll feel more effective. You become, as Covey puts it, independent. Now, being independent may sound ideal because it sounds like you've got all the control, but you can be even more effective by becoming interdependent. The next 3 habits will help you achieve greater success. You'll build stronger relationships and enable more effective interactions. The 4th habit is simple but crucial. Always look for solutions that benefit everyone involved. This habit makes great leaders and excellent friends. That's because making a habit of finding win-wins gives you a great reputation. People will trust you, and you'll build stronger relationships. To put this into practice, Covey suggests the following. First, be brave. Express your goals, your values, and your expectations. Be clear what you're looking for and what you'd like to accomplish together. When you put it all on the table, it's easier for others to get on the same page. Second, really believe that it's possible for everyone to succeed at once. This is another perspective problem. You won't find a win-win if you don't believe it's possible, because you won't even look for it. And third, trust. To get the best outcome, both parties have to believe that nobody's gonna get screwed. Otherwise, you'll get defensive and act selfish. If you don't believe your partner respects you or that they're gonna find a win-win too, you're not gonna find one. In a situation like that, Covey suggests it's just best to walk away. In short, don't compete, cooperate. As you work to find mutually beneficial solutions, you'll find yourself in a lot of discussions. Your best move in any situation where you and another person need to understand each other is to be the one who listens first. Here's what Covey says you should do to become a better listener. First, adjust your perspective. Don't listen with the intent to respond. Listen with the intent to understand. Ask questions, rephrase what they say to check that you got it, and give them space to talk. You're not problem solving yet, you're collecting data. As you listen, pay attention to their feelings. If they express frustration or sadness, for example, notice that and let them know you get it. Let them talk it out without making them feel like they're crazy. Say something like, "That sounds really frustrating." Once it's all on the table, sum it up. Make sure you've understood them properly and let them know you've paid attention. For example, you can say, "It sounds like you're frustrated and exhausted at your job, and you're worried it's not helping you get where you want to be." At this point, you can work together to find a win-win. If they were upset, they've probably calmed down, so you can share your own perspective without trampling theirs. It's really important to listen carefully because it improves your outcomes. You get better data to solve problems with, you build trust, and you make them more willing to listen to you. Practice putting your judgments aside and taking other people's perspectives. That ability is what really enables this next habit. The final habit on the road to becoming interdependent is to collaborate. That means find the strengths of the people around you and give them the chance to do what they do best. Do what you do best and collaborate to create something bigger and better than anything you could accomplish on your own. This is the path that changes the world, because the more people you work with, the more you can do. Covey highlights a few small points here. One is that people's differences are critical to collaboration. We might disagree because our perspectives are different, and that can make collaboration harder. But that difference in perspective is where new ideas come from. Your viewpoint isn't the only one in the world, and it isn't the only one that's right. Be open to that. This is also where the difference between teamwork and collaboration come in. In a team, the leader chooses the goal. Differences get in the way because everyone needs to be on the same page. But when you collaborate and everyone's an equal partner with an important voice, differences become powerful. They lead to the kinds of innovations and out-of-the-box thinking that get you the best possible outcome. Finally, collaboration pays off in the long run because it's contagious. When people see how much you can do when you work together, they want to be part of that too. It feels good to contribute to a successful project, and it feels even better when your ideas and contributions are meaningful and valued. By the way, this isn't just about work. You can approach every interaction this way. Collaborate with your partner, your neighbors, and your friends. See how much more you can do together. Covey's final habit is a simple one, but it's super valuable. Take good care of yourself. This one sounds obvious, but are you taking it seriously? What are you doing for your body, your mind, and your heart on a daily basis? Do you prioritize growth and maintenance, or does it just happen whenever? You can't be effective if you're burned out and unhealthy. You are your greatest asset, so treat yourself with care. Here are the categories Covey recommends we pay attention to. First, care for your body. Eat well, sleep, exercise, and relax. Go to the dentist and see a doctor. There's a lot you can do here, and it's all important. Your body is the foundation everything else is built on, and when it's unhealthy, so is everything else. Next, care for your mind. Do things that help you grow intellectually. Read, write, and expose yourself to new information and experiences. You gotta keep your brain sharp. You also want to maintain your spirit. Spirituality isn't necessarily about religion. It's about connecting to things that inspire and uplift you. Whether you do that by praying or meditating, or by reading and spending time in nature, make sure you're addressing your spiritual health. Finally, maintain and grow your social and emotional health. Connect with people, help them, have fun with them, and succeed at stuff together. The habits we just discussed are great for that. To sum it up, really commit to taking care of yourself. You can't cut a tree down with a dull saw, so make sure you're sharpening and polishing. Let's recap. The 7 habits ask you to change your perspective, to see yourself and your world in terms of what you can control and how you can be effective. It's about becoming less dependent on your circumstances and embracing a mindset that really lets you connect with people and work together. Here they are again. First, be proactive. Begin with the end in mind. Put first things first. Think win-win. Listen to understand. Collaborate. And finally, take care of yourself. This book has lots of great insights into becoming more personally effective that we didn't have time to cover in this video. If you're interested in going deeper, check out the Shortform guide to the 7 habits of highly effective people. Shortform makes the world's best guides to nonfiction books. They're like book summaries on steroids. You can get a 5-day free trial and a discounted annual subscription if you go to shortform.com/YouTube. Click the link in the description below and support the author and the publisher by buying the 7 habits of highly effective people. A link to buy the book is below as well. And finally, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next short form video. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.